There are dozens of parrot species taking over the United States currently. Most of these have been introduced by the pet trade, and in some states, they are even breeding. So let's dive into every single parrot species currently taking over the United States. Just so you know, most of this information is going to come from a 2019 article published in the Journal of Ornithology. The citation for this article will be in the description below, but I'm also going to include some more updated eBird data as well. So from 2002 to 2016, there were 3 parrot species that were the most cited parrots in the United States. The first one is the monk parakeet, and I know a lot of people use the term Quaker parrot. Well, that's the monk parakeet. The second one is the red-crowned Amazon, and the third one is the Nande parakeet, and these 3 species make up 61% of all sightings from 2002 to 2016, at least at the point that this article came out in 2019. There's been 56 parrot species cited in the United States and 25 species that have been confirmed breeding here. Now, there's not 25 species actively breeding at the moment, but 25 species that at one point in time historically have successfully breeded in the States. Now there's also 3 states in the US that support all 25 of these breeding species. That would be California, Texas, and Florida. So you're gonna be hearing these states a lot throughout this video. It makes sense though, these states have very good climates for exotic birds to thrive in, and Colorado or Utah, where I live, would not be a great place for a parrot. If you're curious which state has the most sightings, at least according to this 2019 article, after the big 3 and then Arizona, it would be Connecticut. Kind of random, but kudos to you, Connecticut. You have some cool parrots living there, I guess. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go over only the 25 breeding species in the United States. And we're gonna start with the most abundant sighted bird, and then we're going to end with the rarest sighted bird. So the first one is the monk parakeet, and there was over 42,000 sightings of this bird as of 2019. Now that number has increased to 145,800 sightings on eBird just 6 years later. They're native to South America, and they're the most widely distributed parrot species in the entire world. This bird has been found in over 25 states in the United States, but some of those populations have died off, such as Kansas and Nebraska. They had their populations and they didn't last very long in those terrible climates. The next bird on the list is the red-crowned Amazon, and I've actually seen this bird personally here in Southern California. They're native to eastern Mexico, and they've been confirmed to be breeding in Southern California, Florida, and Texas. In 2019, there was over 15,000 observations of this bird, and today there's over 69,000 observations of this bird. So massive increase in just a 6-year period as well. And then third on the list, the big 3, the Nande parakeet. This bird is also native to South America, and it's been confirmed to be breeding in California and Florida. It's also been seen in other states such as Arizona and Texas. And in 2019, there were about 14,000 sightings on eBird, and now there's 87,000 plus sightings on eBird, another big jump. Now, something important to note before we dive too deep into this is that some of these sightings are going to be conflated by popularity. It doesn't necessarily mean that the bird's population is the largest in the United States. It just means that these birds are accessible to the public and are often reported whenever they're seen. So keep that in mind as we move forward. First on our list, breaking out of the big 3, is the rosy-faced lovebird. Now, this bird currently resides in Arizona, mostly in the Phoenix area, but is actually native to southwestern Africa. These birds are also very susceptible to disease, so they're often found dead in people's yards. And at times, they've also been seen in Florida. Now, in 2019, there were 6,300 plus sightings of this bird on eBird, and that has increased to 41,826 sightings. A massive jump in just 6 years. The population is either, again, booming, or people have taken notice that the birds are there and they're flocking to the area to see these birds. Next is the red-masked parakeet. Also native to South America, it's currently breeding in California and Florida. And those numbers seem to be increasing, and that's reflective of the jump that it's made since 2019. So in 2019, there was 7,311 sightings, and that's jumped up to 37,875. So a massive increase in just 6 years. This bird is doing very well in the United States. Next is the yellow chevroned parakeet, and this bird is native to South America as well. And resides in SoCal and eastern Florida. In 2019, there were 8,104 sightings, and in 2025 today, there's 26,231 sightings. Next is the Mitrid parakeet, also native to South America. It's currently breeding in California and Florida, and it's increasing in numbers as well. In 2019, there were 3,861 sightings, and that's increased to 23,909 sightings. Next on the list is kind of paired with the monk parakeet as the most abundant and widespread parrot species in the world is the rose-ringed parakeet. You can find them in California and Florida, and they really like those palm and maple trees. California specifically, there was this Bakersfield population. Now, some of this might be outdated. Again, this article's from 2019, and I don't know every single in and out exotic bird update out there. So if you are from some of these areas, let me know in the comments below if these populations are still present. But in 2019, there was 1,662 observations, and in 2025, we're up to 16,679. Next is the green parakeet. This one's native to Mexico, and you can find these breeding in Texas, and they've been established since the 1960s. In 2019, there were 5,645 observations, and that's increased to 15,370. Next is the blue-crowned parakeet, also native to South America. They can be found breeding in Florida and quite abundant over there as well. And then there's a tiny, tiny population in Southern California that's much more rare. In 2019, there were 2,847 sightings on eBird, and now there's 11,211. Next on the list is the lilac-crowned Amazon, another bird that I've actually seen personally. It's native to Western Mexico, and it breeds in Southern California, and it's increasing quite rapidly in the state as well. It's also seen regularly in Texas and the Rio Grande Valley area, as well as southeastern Florida. In 2019, there were 1,863 sightings, and that's increased to 7,458. Next is the yellow-headed Amazon, and this one's native to central Mexico and Belize. They can be found in California, Florida, and Texas, and there's limited accounts of them breeding in those states, but it has been established that they are, and they also like those palm fronds for nesting as well. In 2019, there was 1,958 sightings, and that's increased to 4,708. Next is the red Lord Amazon. This is native to Central America, and it can be found breeding in Southern California, and it's also been seen in South Texas on occasion. In 2019, there were 1,216 sightings, and that's increased to almost 4,700 sightings today. Next is the orange-winged Amazon, native to South America as well. You can find it in southeastern Florida, and it breeds in that area. In 2019, there were 724 sightings of this bird, and that's increased actually up to 3,861. So at this point, we're getting to rarer and rarer birds. Obviously, we covered the most abundant to begin with, but now we're on some of the harder to find or no longer existing in the US species. Next is the white-fronted Amazon. It's native to Western Mexico and Costa Rica. It has been sighted in California, Florida, and Texas with some scarce breeding accounts there as well. A lot of people think that released pets actually maintain this population rather than a breeding population being established. In 2019, there were 474 sightings of this bird, and that's increased to 2,499 in 2025. Next is the blue and yellow macaw. Very awesome bird. This can only be found in Dade County, Florida, and this bird is native to South America. Now, there's actually a tiny breeding population in South Florida, and in 2019 there were 476 sightings of this bird, and that's increased to 2,365. This is one of those birds that most likely is not super increasing in Florida, but whenever people see it, they're going to put that into eBird because it is such an exotic looking and recognizable bird as well. Next is the chestnut-fronted macaw, also found in South Florida. This is native to South America. It's actually been found in South Florida since 1981, but it's extremely rare to find. And there was actually records of it breeding in the late 1900s. In 2019, there were 371 sightings of this bird, and that's increased to 2,175. Next on the list is the white-eyed parakeet, also native to South America. You can find it in Florida, but I believe that it's extremely limited and rare in that region as well. There's records of it breeding in 2001 and a few sporadic records as well since then. And it's also not certain if this bird could be considered as a self-sustaining population. In fact, it's probably just teetering on being replenished by escaped pets. In 2019, there were 178 sightings of this bird, and that's increased to 1,880. Next is the white-winged parakeet, and this is native to the Amazon basin. In the 1960s and 70s, there were actually 230,000 of these birds imported to the United States, so it's only natural that a lot of these birds escaped. In the past, it established populations in Miami and San Francisco, but then the imports stopped of this species in the late 1900s, and it's slowly declined since then. So those numbers are dwindling, and I don't even know if there's any of these birds left in the United States. In 2019, there were 765 sightings of this bird, and that's increased to 1,287. So in 10 years, there's only been 500 more sightings of this bird. Seems like that bird's no longer doing very well in the United States. Next is a word that I will attempt to say correctly. It's the budgie, budgerigar. I'm just gonna call it a budgie. Native to Australia, this is the most popular cage bird in the entire world. So of course there's going to be lots of sightings of this bird across the United States. But the real question is, has it ever established a breeding population? Well, historically in Florida, the population actually peaked at around 20,000 birds. And this was in the 1970s, but since then the bird has fallen off completely. And by the 1990s, there was only a population of about 100 to 200 birds. And they're not exactly sure why the population just nosedived into the ground, but a lot of people think that the house sparrow competed with the budgies, so two non-native species, and the house sparrows won out. So to my Florida friends, can you still find budgies in Florida, or are they completely wiped out? This is really odd as well. In 2019, the study found that there was 1,264 sightings in eBird, but if you look today, there's only 407. So I'm not sure if they cut out a bunch of those sightings and deemed them exotics instead, so like retroactively taking those birds away. If you know, let me know in the comments below. All right, next is the yellow-collared lovebird. This can also be found in Phoenix, with all the other lovebirds in the area. This is native to Tanzania, and in 2019, there were 55 sightings. That's increased to 334, so a very rare species to find in the United States regardless. The next is the yellow-crowned Amazon. 2019, there were 52 sightings, and that's increased to 243. This bird is native to Panama, and you can find it in California, Florida, and Texas. There's also speculation that this bred years ago in Florida. But again, the criteria for this video is that the bird has bred at least once in the United States, not necessarily that it's still doing so. And it may not be established today really anywhere. Next is the Finch's parakeet, and that's actually transitioned since 2019 to the crimson-fronted parakeet. In 2019, there was 67 sightings, and that's increased to 232. Extremely rare bird to find, and the only place you can find it is in Florida, and there's small evidence of it breeding in the early 2000s. Next is the turquoise-fronted Amazon, native to South America. It's also been on record for breeding in California and Florida, and those populations are very, very tiny. Again, this bird may not be around. In 2019, there were 104 sightings. Since then, 184. So only 80 sightings since that bird was first accounted in 2019, or at least added up. It's not very common, and you most likely will not see this bird in the US. And then lastly, the most rare of the parrots that we're gonna talk about that have bred in the United States is the scarlet-fronted parakeet. Again, this is a weird one. 50 sightings in 2019. That's been reduced down to 4, so I don't know if they retroactively took some away or what's going on there. Native to South America, again, very rare, and the only place you can find it is in Florida, if it is around at all. And the reason that they know it was breeding is that there is a record of juveniles being seen in the early 2000s. Let me know in the comments below. 1, have you seen any of these birds? And number 2, which was your favorite species, and which one would you love to visit your state? Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all next time on Bright-Eyed Birding Learn.